The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and think
He missed the complete that. He's crazy.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags.
Drivers revere certain circuits with an almost religious awe. The Nürburgring's Nordschleife is one of those places. Just imagining raw 60s F1 cars with no downforce flying around here with no Armco barriers between themselves and the trees kind of stops you in your tracks. How could anyone be that brave? Or that foolish? And just a little taste of what they experienced, our competitors are tackling the modern incarnation of this place and a faithful recreation of Colin Chapman's Lotus 49. You're watching round 8 of the Racing for Rick World Cup Challenge, and you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Sean Ambrose. Behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Sean, I'm sure it's tough to encapsulate the ring in just a few words, but try your best.
I'll give it just a few words, Joe. They built this here in the Eifel Mountains back in 1920 around a little village and a medieval castle, the Castle of Nürburgring, and that's where we sit, Nürburgring, Germany. Joe, what if I told you we had 154 turns to deal with today at 20.82 kilometers? You see it there, 12.9 miles on screen. We'll get 6 laps in with this race today, and it is a scenic journey up and down the mountain, twisty bits, carousels, dot and der Ho, where you will go flat out, upwards of close to 200 miles an hour. It will be a blast in the Lotus 49. But let's take a quick ride around, an abbreviated ride around in the GSRC Lotus 49.
All right, we've got Billy Bob Wright in the GSRC Lotus 49, so let's do a lap around the Nordschleife. The Nord curve has deceptively early braking because of its downhill entry, so be on your guard. From there, we're going to skip ahead since there's not enough time to show you a full lap. The 49 is unique in that it's a car on iRacing that can actually get air at fluke plots. That makes the double apexer that follows even more terrifying. Just up the road, you'll get another little hop just before the braking for the Swedish cross. Hug the left side as best you can so that you can set yourself up for Ehrenberg. You don't want to put a wheel in the grass on the right anyway, since there's almost no coming back if you do. Expect a few pass attempts into here throughout the race. Then, if we jump ahead to compression, that leads us directly into Audner Forst. The tight barriers in this series of S's means you really don't want to mess around. Races end incredibly quickly when drivers lose it on entry. Like most S's, ideally you want to set yourself up for each subsequent corner through here. Once you get around the final right-hander, open up the throttle and let it fly. Farther along at the bottom of the hill, X-Mule may prove tricky in putting the power down. The way the track crests on exit tends to take the grip away. From there, bring the car across the track and then lift to make it through Lauda Lakes. You can take it faster, but you want the car settled for the heavy braking into Bergwerks. Try not to early apex this uphill bend. Being able to straighten off the exit will pay off in speed climbing the mountain. Now, Bravery Corner is scary in most cars, but in the 49, you'll be lifting even before the braking zone just to keep it on the right line. The bumps get emphasized with this car's lack of downforce, and so much of driving the car revolves around dealing with that. And then, of course, there's the infamous carousel. Spot your brake marker, swing it in from the outside, and hold a consistent speed around the banking. Be easy on the gas coming out because the car won't grip quickly. Across the top of the mountain, you've got another spot where you'll get airborne with Flansgarten. Don't push your luck because you need the car planted when you land to get through the uphill right-hander. Over the hill, you've got another scary little hop just at this left kink. It's easy to get out of shape here. Then, there's the fast entry into Swallowtail, which is another place where losing control is almost always a race ender. Slow the car up as you guide it through the right-hand sweeper, then try to carry speed over the crest of the left-hand bend. From there, it's a short burst to the mini carousel. Coming off of here can be tough since the Lotus doesn't like to accelerate and turn at the same time. Stay to the left for the right line into Gallow Hill. This extremely long corner requires patience and practice to figure out just how soon you can put your foot to the floor. And the sooner you can do that, the better because it dumps you onto the Dotting Arhoa. Another thing unique to the Lotus is that Antonius Beach isn't quite flat out. If this kink scares you, you're not alone. That sets us up for Tiergarten, which presents the difficult task of slowing the car and changing direction multiple times. Once you reach Hohen Run, if you don't have control of the car, you're probably going to be hitting something. Keep it tight to the apexes, and then don't forget that turn 13 is deceptively slow. Hopefully, you kept it all together and have now finished a lap around the Nordschleife. So that's just a taste of what a lap around here is like. Most of the drivers describe it as frightening in this car, and I don't blame them. I've driven a number myself. It's certainly a bit of a thrill ride, but for a ride around the points championship, let's bring up our graphic and show you how they sit currently here 7 weeks into the season. Benjamin Zocco still leading the way. Michel Dudignon now 7 back, although he jumps up a spot after Mick Claridge did not have a good finish last week. He's dropped 2 spots down to 4th. Billy Bob Wright also moves up a couple as well, and Jack Ulstead dropping down to 5th on our point sheet. We also cover the Constructors' Championship, and unlike modern F1, that was done with the countries instead of the teams. So as we pull that graphic up and take a look at where those sit, United States actually doing a phenomenal job this time around, although Australia very much giving them a run for their money. You can see only 2 points for that lead spot separating them. France being mostly buoyed by Michel Dudignon, sitting in 3rd. He's gained themselves a spot, gaining positions bit by bit on them. And then the UK sliding down, of course, because of Mick Claridge's results. And then the Netherlands staying put there in 5th place. The Dutch mostly being helped by Casper de Kort over there. Now, Sean, we call this the Racing for Rick World Cup Challenge. Why don't you tell us a little bit about why it's named that?
Well, Joe, race fans, this series dedicated to a good friend of the organizers, Rick Emerson. Rick's been battling ALS for about 4 years now, and being a close friend of these promoters, they decided to band together, help raise some money for ALS and the ALS Association. We've put a link in the YouTube description, but yes, sir, when we are here on Saturdays racing in Lotus 49, we are racing for Rick, and we hope to help not only him out, but the many millions affected by ALS, which has been around for far too long. We want to try and stamp it out. We're racing for Rick today. Rick, hope you're doing well, and hope you're getting to watch the race today.
As the clock ticks down, they do qualifying a little bit different. This is warm-up. With it being the Nürburgring, they don't have enough time for an attached qualifying like most official series in iRacing. So our grid is set, and we can actually head to that before they wrap up here. Michel Dudignon is going to be sitting on the pole today. No surprise there with the speed that he typically has. AJ Bear is going to be running 2nd, however, a whole 4 seconds back on the timing sheets. Bruce Nelson will be 3rd, with Billy Bob Wright rounding out row 2. Brett Rial will start this race in 5th, with Ove Trangerade in 6th, and then P7 will be Jack Ulstead. Benjamin Zocco, not the qualifying we're used to seeing, same as last week, just can't seem to get the car up there in quali. Starting 8th, Igor Stadnik in 9th. And rounding out the top 10, Sean, it's going to be Michael Langford.
All right, and then we'll go down to 11th. Don, tell me something good. Starting on row 6 with Hideki Koivitso. Row 7, Michael Sullivan, Telmo Amaral. Row 8 going to be Andrew Ng and Sandeep Banerjee here with us today. Row 9 going to be finished out with David Beatty. I can't read, guys. And the Italian Mauro Azzano going to take a trip through the mountains here today.
I haven't seen Sandeep in a race in quite a while. Good to see him join us once again here at the Nürburgring. You can see the cars starting to get gridded up. Drivers have been saying coming up to this race, you can't run around here at 100%. You can't run around here at 99%. You have to back off just a little bit and go into survival mode around the place that they call the Green Hell. Makes you wonder how in the world drivers ever found the guts to run around here in the real world. As they wait for the lights to come up, here we go. 6 laps around the Nürburgring. Engines are revving. Green flag is out as they work their way down towards the north curve. A lot of drivers up at the front already getting themselves single file. A few others going side by side, but most everybody getting themselves some space and already, Sean, focusing on the track and not racing each other.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Joe, nobody fighting too hard to get off the start there. Everybody in...
Oh, and Michel Dudignon
boy.
with a big slide early on. Unfortunately, the track is so narrow, AJ Bear cannot get by, fully sideways, heading down into those corners for Michelle.
Boy, and David Beatty gets off and into the wall early, Joe, back here at the very back.
And somehow Michelle is able to get on the chat and type sorry. Not sure if maybe he had a macro for that, because I don't know how I'd be doing anything but focusing on driving around here. Over Flugplatz they go, working their way towards the Swedish cross, and boy, Michelle is pushing. He nearly put two wheels off into the grass.
Telmo Amaral in the wall, just out of Flugplatz.
Sad to see for Telmo. He actually got one of his first wins in the Lotus 49 earlier this week after some attrition helped him out. And you can see just over the top, as you said, at Flugplatz, it all goes south in the first lap.
Yeah, and it allowed several drivers to get by him. Sullivan, Quavizzo, Azano, David Beatty.
You can see back up to our leaders. Not much distance between them here early in the first lap. As they come out of Adenauer Forst, plunging now towards Metzgefeld, and then they will really drop in elevation as they head into the valley.
Slow is fast, right, Joe?
Yeah, I would think so around here. Oh, and Ove Trangarade making a move on Brett Rial. Brave stuff. Does Brett have damage, though, maybe here? He seems to be holding a train of cars up. Sean, you'll have to check.
I'm looking. Yeah, I'm trying to see.
Now as they come through, miss, hit, miss. Even though he's holding a few cars up, he's not being... Ove's running away, but not incredibly quickly. Into Defense Valley. Here you can see just how much they're getting stacked up behind them. That's Jack Ulstead and Igor Stadnik right up his gearbox.
Yeah, Brett got a little bit of damage on the very, very nose of the car, but nothing serious, Joe. I think he's just struggling with getting started. This track is really hot, 105 degrees.
Not what these drivers wanted.
No.
On what is already a difficult combo. Ulstead, in the meantime, is all over Brett Rial as they come up to Bergwerks. Important to get a launch out of here. Although, as I'm sure you know, Sean, after the laps you've done, even coming up this uphill stretch, you can't stay flat all the way.
No, you're constantly working the throttle, Joe. It is a real adventure in throttle management and a little bit of brake, and I say a little bit of brake.
Now up to Bravery Corner, as our leaders are just now working their way through. We're riding on board with Ulstad. Very nerve-wracking, but he takes it cleanly. Not a whole lot of side-by-side action, and you shouldn't expect to see much side-by-side action throughout this race. Pretty much the day is racing the track and not each other, as now they weave through the infamous carousel. Up towards the top of the hill, towards Hohe Acht, the highest point on the track, and David Beatty's got some more problems. Earlier in the lap, he found the wall. It looks like he did so a second time.
Yeah, he did, and it was right there in Klosternal. And boy, that's going to take him back to the pit. Oh man, he hits that wall really hard.
Looks like a little bit of a glitch caught the nose of it, and that's what sent him tumbling like that. See, he is the first to take a tow, amazingly, of all of our drivers. Everybody else is still out there. Telmo Almiral, despite his hard slam, is still driving, albeit 22 seconds behind Sullivan in 15th.
Yeah, that Telmo's car definitely struggling, but he is wheeling this machine around here, keeping it on track. A little bit slower than everybody else, but he's definitely, the wheels are all facing in the right direction, Joe.
Driver with a fire lit under him is Ove Trangrade. We saw him overtake Brett Rial, but that was to get a position back that he lost at the start. He started in 6th. He is in 6th. Right now, or excuse me, he's in 5th now. Right now he is working on Billy Bob Wright up through the Beloff S's and now into Swallowtail. He's really been putting the pressure on. Billy Bob struggling to get the car to the proper line up over the left-hander, and you can see just how much time that loses him as they hit the mini carousel. It looks like Ove is going to get a good opportunity if he can just hold on to the tail of that Lotus 49 onto Dottie Narhoa.
Gee, Swallowtail, our favorite place on the course. I found it pretty challenging in this car.
I think it's incredibly scary in this car.
Yeah, and this is where they get to really open it up here. Be interested to see what kind of run Ove's gets.
He's got the draft. And with no wings on these cars, if you think 170 is fast in GT3 machines heading up this straight, try hitting nearly 200 miles an hour in these cars. Can't even take the kink. Antonius Beach at flat out. Have to lift through there. Slowing it up through Tiergarten and Hohenrath. And finally they complete a lap as they come around turn 13 and hit the north curve once again.
Joe, I'll tell you what, great lap there for Reale, Olstad, and Stadnik. These three are still hooked up here. The battle for 6th place rages on here as we start lap 2.
Weaving through the S's now. Working their way up to the fast flying portion, literally flying portion, as they approach Flugplatz soon here. Olstead looking very much under threat from Stadnik. Stadnik much tidier down to these apexes. Can he get a run on him? Just not enough of a launch here out of High Oaks. I love this shot, letting you see just how much air these cars get.
Yeah, that's the other. That was the other thing we really hadn't talked about is how much time you do spend in the air in this car here, Joe. It's frightening, absolutely frightening.
That's the part where whenever I do laps here in this car, I'm always holding my breath, hoping it lands right. You kind of learned how to control it with the throttle, though, Sean, don't you?
Yeah, you do start to figure it out after well, I don't know, a dozen times of bombing out. But it's you've got to learn your marks pretty carefully here. Memory, a very powerful tool here in Green Hell.
Oh, well, we got a car off behind this pack. That is Michael Langford. Did he hit the wall? Oh, looks like he managed to avoid it miraculously. Usually up into Audner Forest, you don't get away with that. Just a little bit too hot into the kink and somehow kept it on the grass.
Wow. Great job.
Man.
Gets away with one there. You don't get away with many here, Joe.
I was just going to say, you don't get too many opportunities to be able to escape that. And he didn't lose too much time. He's still about 2 seconds back from Zoko, sitting in 9th. I'm guessing this is not Zoko's track. Up at the front, we're not missing much between our leaders. Dudagnon has found his pace and is now nearly 2 seconds ahead of AJ Bear. But Bear is dealing with Bruce Nelson, the Northwest driver, has caught up to 2nd place. Is just holding station back there right now. Not close enough for an attack, but as we've seen, Sean, mistakes can come aplenty here. So opportunities could be there if you wait patiently.
Yeah, it is about being patient. Just be patient. Your opportunity may come up at the very next bend. Snelson almost a little bit closer than I'd like him to be right here. He's going to try and make a move. Maybe here he comes. Snelson almost right up alongside. Gets a run right here. Right up on the back of AJ Bear. Bear doing a good job of getting through there, Joe.
Oh, Ove Trancare has had a serious action, and I think this is in the Moot curve. Bravery Corners, what it literally translates to. Ove seems
Yep.
to have had more bravery than talent today, sadly.
And he just gets a little bit of the grass over the curb, gets the left wheels over the curb. A little bit of grass just wipes him out.
We're going to watch from on board. That Armco, once again, looks like just the glitch of grabbing the tires, unfortunately, ending his day. And Billy Bob Wright, what happened to him? Oh, this was up at the Stylstrecke, just narrowly outbrakes himself and then swings it back across and hits the Armco on the other side as well.
Ouch.
Wow, attrition really taking its toll. We started with 18 drivers. We haven't even covered a number of them that have dropped out here at the back. Hideki Koivisto is the last running in 11th. We
Boy, a lot of
completed
cars.
2 laps yet.
A lot of cars got through there after Billy Bob, Reale, Olstad, Stadnik, Zoko.
I'm thinking the name of the game here, Sean, is to simply survive, not necessarily be fast.
But I said it just a while ago, and like you'd put in the script there, slow. I think the consensus was slow is fast. Maybe I would certainly be backing off at this point and more concerned about finishing it with all the retirements we've had here, the early retirements and/or still sitting in the pit waiting for a lot of repair.
Watching Bruce Snelson, who has overtaken AJ Bear. I guess we missed the pass. I'll go back to check to see where exactly that took place. Oh, looks like he did it into Stylstrecke earlier on in the lap when Bear slid a little bit wide into that corner, outbraked himself, similar to Billy Bob, but kept it out of the barriers. And Snelson took advantage, just tucked it in down to the curb, and clearly has the pace as he's already separated himself by about a second. That might get reeled back in a little bit here on the Dade Norhoa.
Great effort here by Snelson to start this. Saw him in practice earlier. The Northwest driver certainly has a feel for the ring here.
Started in third. He's going to move himself up in a second as soon as he crosses the line, assuming he navigates through Huanran and through turn 13 correctly. Completing lap 2 now. They've lost Dudagnon by about 4 seconds. 4 laps to go. Doesn't sound like a lot, but we're not even halfway through this race. Oh, Igor Stadnik with a problem. Didn't hit anything, but into Huanran, outbraked himself and had to take to the grass.
Oof. And he gets away with it.
And Zoko capitalizes on that. He moves himself up into 6th. Been a decent climb, having qualified in 8th.
Yeah, it really has for Zoko. He is, he's marching. And honestly, Olstad, looking over his shoulder now, was a little bit faster on that last lap, but Zoko's shown really good pace and the ability to get around the traffic in front of him here so far.
Stadnik not taking it laying down as he's holding on to the back of the Australian. Flying over Flugplatz one more time. Both of them able to get through there cleanly. And even on this straight, I don't know about you, Sean, I could not keep my foot down no matter how many times I tried.
Yeah, no, very, very few places where I was just flat out. Dade Norhoa, obviously, but very, very hard to do here.
Breaking down into Ehrenberg. Sometimes an opportunity for passing into there, not this time by. Stadnik right underneath the rear of Zoko now. Going through the foxhole into compression. And then up into Outenauer Forest one more time. The car having to slow and turn at the same time. Just behind them Michael Langford is starting to close.
Yeah, I was just about to say Langford was starting to close, and he did kind of a four-wheel drift there. He's back on it now, but he lost a little bit of ground to him there.
Working into Metzgefeld now. A tight left-hander, which starts them leading downhill into Collinhard. Always found this tough late apex corner to get right, that downhill braking. And then the very scary miss, hit, miss. Up ahead, we're not missing anything. This is the closest battle. Dudagnon extending his lead to 5 seconds now, 5.5 seconds. There is still a little bit of a battle between Snelson and Bear, but they are separated by a second, so nothing really happening between them. Really, the fight for 6 is the most exciting we've got.
You almost get the impression that Dudagnon has been running this track since he was a wee lad, Joe. Oh, Bruce Nelson. Oh, the second place driver all the way off. He's coming back across the track.
Oh, he gets the barrier after saving it about 3 times. We're going to watch the replay. Where was this? Oh, this was on the uphill through Kesselchen. Yeah, that left-hander there, Sean, it's just so marginal.
And he just misses it, man. Just misses it. That just destroys the car. Wow, from second place to off the track and back to the pits. Jeez.
Oh, he is frustrated. Had to take a tow and saying some words that we can't say on air in the chat.
I believe that's in German, though, isn't it, Joe?
Yeah, I think so. Well, that relieves even more pressure on Dudagnon, so the gap is now 9 seconds.
You know, I hadn't mentioned it, but Rick Emerson is here. He's watching. He's in the YouTube chat.
A friendly hi to you, Rick. Glad to have you on board. And glad you're getting to watch one of the most interesting and intense races of the season. Certainly one of my favorites here in the Lotus 49. Glad that, as much as I like running around here in this car, I'm glad that I'm not having to drive in this race.
Boy, as I spent my time practicing here, I thought exactly that to myself. I'm right where I belong, up here in the booth.
Good battle still for 5th place now, as it's been bumped up 1 more position. This is going to move Stadnik into the final points paying spot. A little bit wide there coming through Brunchen. Up over the ice curve, and just behind him, Langford is looking to relieve him of that final point if he can. They're separating just slightly. Now up through Flansgarden, or the other places where you get air. And just here over this hump, you don't get fully off the ground, but boy does that car get light.
And Langford seems to have settled down back here, Joe. Maybe taking that, to get in the swallowtail here, taking that attitude of slow is fast, because now with a little bit of consistency, he has reeled in Stadnik. And we're going to get to Dottenderho here in just a second.
Well, he's positioned himself perfectly for that. He's going to get the draft.
He really has. Going to make a run at him here. Although Stadnik got a great run.
Finding that traction ever so critical, and I think Stadnik knew it. It's separated to about 3/4 of a second. He's still going to get a little bit of it, and he should be able to reel him in. Tell you what, the other thing you don't notice in other cars that you do in this one is the bumps along this straight.
Yeah. Stadnik at 200 right there at the king.
Both of them taking it right to the limit through there. Langford was not able to close. He holds at about the same gap. An impressive job by Stadnik. And really, it looks like up into Tiergarten is where he gained ground as Langford drops back quite a ways. This allows Igor to start to focus on the car in front. That is Benjamin Zoko.
Langford to go back and watch this broadcast and just hate me after that. I set the poor guy up for failure there with 3 laps to go.
He's still got time. Plenty of time. And with this track being so long, certain drivers will be strong in different parts. In fact, speaking of which, Zoko, is he closing on Ulstead now?
He is just a bit. Got a little bit closer. He was definitely the faster car on that last lap, almost by a full second, Joe.
Stadnik much faster than Zoko, though.
I was just about to say that. In fact, he maybe needs to worry a little bit. Oh boy, really needs to worry there. Zoko looking really squirrely.
I don't think there's many places around here that you look stable.
Yeah.
Man, he is tidy, though, through Ehrenberg. Into the foxhole, another portion where you can't quite keep your foot all the way down. And they hit compression. Can he do anything up into the tricky Audenauer Forest? Sometimes you can close under braking, and he does. Wow, gets right up on top of Stadnik. Loving this section of the course.
Yeah, Stadnik taking his hot track and really finding the grip where he needs it there up on top of those curbs.
And the 3 continue to close in on each other. A second between Ulstead and Zoko. Half a second between Zoko and Stadnik. And even Ulstead catching Rial as well. They're all coming together.
Really a testament to the skill of these 4 drivers that they're still this close halfway into this race, Joe.
Now, the only downside to this, Sean, is you have to get close to be able to make a pass, but around this track, with the walls so close, there's almost a danger the closer you get to the car ahead.
Yeah, that's true. And in the passing opportunities, there aren't nearly as many of them as you would think. I mean, Dotner Ho, obviously the best one. So important to get a good exit, though, onto Dotner Ho, as we saw just before how much Michael Langford, how much a bad exit really cost him. But Ehrenberg, Bergworks, Stelstruck, really your best chances for great passing opportunities here, and we just haven't seen that develop yet.
We'll see if anything develops for an opportunity for one of these 4 drivers, all looking for that podium spot that right now Brett Rial holds down. The drivers ahead of them, Dudignon and Bear, in first and second, respectively, have big gaps between themselves and third place Rial. There you see Bear working his way up into the carousel one more time. Love that little blimp shot holding over that section.
Joe, 10 cars still continue to take this challenge. Hideki Koivitso holds that number 10 spot. He has taken on the slow is fast strategy.
I actually think we have 11. Telmo Almiron is still out there, albeit
he is,
a lap down. He should be able to overtake Bruce Snelson, who I'm not sure if he intends to get back out there. His car is still sitting in the pits. So is Michael Sullivan's. Everybody else has exited out of the sim. And still the battle rages. Stadnik not afraid to get right up on top of Zoko, that's for sure. And Langford lost a lot of ground, I'm seeing. Did he have a mistake somewhere? I'm checking to see if maybe it was a minute ago or so, but not seeing anything major right now. Sean, did you catch anything?
I didn't, Joe. I didn't. I just saw Stadnik actually had trouble just a moment ago. Darren Brunson slid off, got off the track surface for just a moment. It cost him some time there to Zoko.
Battle for third now is on as Brett Rial under threat from Jack Olstead. Up the Beloff S's. Not really an opportunity to pass here into Swallowtail unless you're extremely brave. And just look at Olstead close up through that left-hander. If he can just stay tight to that gearbox, he could get an opportunity down the Dottinger Hoe. He's only 3/10 back now. This is going to be his best opportunity. Oh, he swings a little bit wide on the second half. And look at once again, Sean, the exit, oh so crucial.
Yep. Boy. Just like we saw on the very last lap. Olstead, oh, just a hair short of being able to catch him here.
Yeah, maybe got a little bit too greedy into that first part and compromised the second half of the corner. He did close. He was close enough that he was able to get a draft, unlike previously with Langford on Stadnik, but it wasn't enough to attempt to pass. Let's bring you up to date going through the field on each of our drivers. Michel Dunignon has been leading since the drop of the green, had a real scare in the first couple of corners, but since then, we haven't really had a chance to watch and see if he has been making more mistakes. At 16 seconds ahead, I don't think it matters if he has or not. He's kept it out of the walls and he's kept it clean. AJ Bear in second also has himself a handy lead, 19 seconds over the next car ahead. And with no pressure behind, I think all he's focusing on is a clean race from here on out. The real fight starts back at third. Brett Rial, one of those drivers that has been had to withstand pressure along with trying to drive the track, not something you really want to deal with around here. Olstead is the one giving chase in fourth behind him. And even closer back, Benjamin Zoko climbing up through the field. Didn't have a good qualifying, started eighth up to the top five. And then rounding out the points paying position, Sean, as Igor Stadnik, who drops off and unfortunately clatters the Armco. Is this up in fluke plots? Yes, it was.
Oh, boy.
Watch on board. As he climbs up over the hill. Oh, looks like maybe caught a little grass. It was hard to tell from the onboard if that's what caused it. Looks like the car maybe just landed a little funky. And unfortunately, as he was gathering it back together, he ran out of track. That curve comes so quickly afterwards. It's still going though, Sean. He's still in sixth, and he's got 35 seconds back to Andrew Ang behind him. I wanted to see that Don Goods had a problem. And Langford as well, a number of drivers running out of focus late in the race. This is Goods replay. Oh, I think this is into High Oaks. This is a bit of an odd incident. Just outbraked himself, I guess? You know, one of the things, Sean, that the drivers have talked about is you can lose focus to the point where you don't remember what part of the track you're in. So, on Langford's incident now, let's see where did this one take place.
It just coming up the hill there, car gets just kind of moving across the track. You know, we talked about those bumps, and it takes him off into the wall there. He slaps it. He was struggling. He was one of those drivers who slowed down a bit, Joe, and I never really found why, but it seemed like he had just backed off the pace, but he got himself in trouble, and now he finds himself in the pit.
All right, here's an interesting excuse for you, Sean. Langford said in the chat he crashed because he was taking his jacket off.
That's a new one. That's a new one.
I think I would just sit and endure the sweat if It was getting a little bit too hot while racing around here. I would not want any hands off the wheel at all. Well, and then there were 9. Almiral's just about to overtake Bruce Nelson for that 11th position. He's just hit the dot in our hole as we ride on board with Rial. Or we're riding on board with Rial. This has separated them a bit, Sean.
Yeah, just a bit, Joe. Just a bit. But you know what? This is still a good battle here between Rial and Ulstad. Ulstad is right there with him.
Zoko hasn't left it either.
Yeah, no, he hasn't. Not counting him out at all. Certainly compared to the way he started, for Zoko to find himself currently in 5th, you got to feel pretty happy about that right now.
Certainly has been making a climb. Meanwhile, Ulstad reeling in Rial. The time keeps coming down and down. Or at least it was. It was down to about a second. Now he's lost about 2 more tenths. We didn't quite get through the rundown. We were at Stadnik when we stopped. Sean, what's the order like behind him?
In 7th, you've got Andrew Ng right now. He's had a pretty interesting run through. Now he's 42 seconds away from our leader. Andrew right now just needs to stay focused. He's up 8 spots. He started 15th in this field, so going to be a good day for him if he can just keep the car on the track. Hideki Koivisto, the Finn, still very much in this race. 8th place. He started 12th, having a decent run. Finds himself a minute behind Dugnan. And in other cars on track, I think that's going to be Telmo Almiral back at 11th. Now, between that, you've got Michael Langford and Don Good. Telmo could get those spots if those cars stay in the pit. Telmo with a chance to get himself up as high as 9th right now. And then in 12th, Snelson, who's parked it. Billy Bob right there in 13th. Ove Trengrade, 14th. Michael Sullivan, 15th. Sandeep Banerjee, not a good return. 16th, David Beatty, 17th, and Moro Azano is going to be 18th. And those drivers really just, quite frankly, had trouble getting started here today. We're early victims, Joe.
No shame in that around the ring. If you make a mistake, you're not the first, you won't be the last. So we ride on board with 4th place Ulstad, who continues to stalk Brett Rial for the final podium position. Sean, if you were Jack, would you settle for that 4th? Would you not try and challenge? Would you get up close and put the pressure on?
I'm... Boy, tough call, Joe.
You wouldn't be in the car at all, would you?
Yeah, let's start with that. You know what? I wouldn't push too much, honestly. It just, the car is so unpredictable and the track is so hot today. I think if the track was a little bit cooler, I might try and make a run at it, but I don't want to risk skating off this track into oblivion.
Well, Jack's not listening to you because he just gained half a second on Rial. So maybe he does want it. And the white flag is out, by the way, as you can tell by the graphic. Dudagnon, way ahead of these guys, took it a while ago. He's already on his way up to the Swedish cross.
Boy, 4-wheel drifting it through Ehrenberg.
I think that's why he is in the lead, way ahead of everybody else. He is not afraid. Even after that scary moment on lap 1. Through compression he goes. Now up into Oudenauer Forst. Man, just on the limit. He's a lot braver with some of those curbs than I usually am. Ulstad has dropped that half a second on Rial at this point, keeps running back and forth with it. So we watch them head down the foxhole.
Well, Right now, Olsted's got to hope for a little bit of a mistake or a great run on the Dottener-Ho. I'd say based on how he got around the last lap and how he's getting around right now, that's going to be his opportunity there. It's still possible.
I have to agree with you, Sean. I think that'd be the savvy move if I was Olstad. It's just hold on to the back of him and go for a good launch out of Gallows Hill. Taking a peek back to see where Telmo Almiral is, if he's going to get those positions or not. I think he's only halfway around the lap, actually. He hasn't seen the white flag yet.
No, he hasn't, actually. Telmo, right now in Whipperman right there. And yeah, he's on the back part right now, and he'll be okay. He's still got to get, a little over a lap and a third around the ring here.
Before we switched over to Amaral, we were watching that battle continue between Real and Olstad. Coming up on the Lauda Kink. And then it's heavy braking here for Bergwerks. Let's see if Jack can maybe get himself a launch off of here. He's starting to lose a little ground on Brett. Makes me wonder if maybe Brett is pushing, trying to see if he can separate himself to keep him safe from the draft once they do hit the Dottener-Hoa.
I think that's a great call there, Joe. I would certainly be concerned about it. And Brett taking care of business right now.
Seems to be able to get it right up to about a second, but can't quite extend it farther than that. Through Klostertal and now into Stylstrecke. This is where a lot of fans in the real world tend to like to watch. Up by the carousel, you can see all the campers that iRacing has placed around here.
That's where I want to party, Joe.
Certainly up high in the mountain at this point. Up to Hoa Acht, which is literally the highest place on the track. As we switch over to our leader, Dudagnon, who's working his way through Flansgarden now.
Yeah, not much left now for Dudagnon. Well, what a clinic. What a clinic he has put on here today, Joe.
Through the Beloff S as he goes. Into Swallowtail. A couple more scary parts that he needs to be careful for. Has to watch out. Can't let down his focus quite yet. We're not missing anything in the battle for third. We'll get to those guys once they come onto the Dottener-Hoa, which should be right about the time that Dudagnon is finishing. As he comes around Gallows Hill, waiting to patiently put the power down. This has got to be a breath of fresh air as he hits that long 2-kilometer straight, climbing up towards the castle.
Oh, big trouble for Jack Olstad. Oh.
We'll come back to it in a little bit as we're right by the finish for Michel Dudagnon through Antonius Beach. Oh, and it sounds like he's getting into more trouble. Unfortunately, I think Olstad may have gotten into it with Stadnik or Zoko, but let's stay on the finish for Dudagnon as he comes through turn 13 to the finish. Michel Dudagnon is going to win at the ring.
AJ Bear making his way down there now, Joe. He has had a very quiet, very fast run today around the ring. And for his efforts, sir, he is going to take home a second place finish. Bring it around. One last turn. AJ Bear. Second place today in the Racing for Rick Challenge.
And how about Brett Rial? Started this race in 5th, looking at a podium as he slows it up carefully and cautiously, heading through Tiergarten and Hohenrad. That final right-hander is all that stands between him and a podium. Brett Rial takes 3rd. All right, let's go back and look at what happened to Olstead. I know he had some problems on his own, but then it seemed like it compounded.
Yeah, Zoko's going to get him. There's Jack right there.
And Flansgarden to go a little bit wide and maybe get offline here. Waiting to see where it went wrong. Oh, there it is. Up into the Beloff S's. That's so marginal. And he keeps it out of the wall initially. What happens here?
It slides across the track and right back in the middle of the track. And Zoko coming through as Jack was trying to get back on track. He just didn't see him. And Zoko just plows him there. Zoko able to finish the race, though, Joe, and get a 5th place finish. But Stadnik was able to take advantage of that and take 4th.
Well, I'm sure Stadnik would have rather have earned the places, but you take what you can get, especially around the ring. Tough luck for Zoko and Olstad late in the race as just a couple drivers finishing up at this point. Hideki Koivisto coming across the line. And Telma Armour's got a ways to go. So we're going to let them take those places that for sure they are going to finish in at this point. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews. So don't go away. Welcome back to the Nürburgring, stuck in the Eiffel Mountains among the mist and the trees. But today it was Michel Dunion, the Frenchman, who came away with the win, looked unfazed after he had a slide at the start and then streaked off into the distance. 24 seconds over AJ Bear in the end. Dominant stuff. Brett Rial came home in third, rounding out the podium. And of course, Igor Stadnik earning a couple spots at the very end, finishing in fourth. Benjamin Zoko, who had a run-in with Jack Ulstead, finished in fifth. Andrew Ang comes home in sixth, and Hideki Koivisto just outside of the points, but has to be proud of going from 12th to 7th on the field. Jack Ulstead, an accident at the very end, unfortunately re-entered the track without looking, and he was the one who was clattered by Zoko, and that slots him down into 8th. Don Good finishes 9th, just shy of 1 lap shy of the finish. And Telmo Almiral finishes 1 lap down with a good recovery drive, rounding out the top 10, Sean.
Yeah, good finish there for Telmo. Congratulations to him. Michael Langford going to finish 11th. Tough finish for him. He'll fall a couple laps short. Bruce Nelson, 12th. Ove Trengerade did not fare well for him today here at the ring. The Scandinavian driver will finish 13th. Billy Bob Wright, 14th. Sandy Banerjee makes his return to iRacing here today. We hadn't seen him in a while, but he'll finish 15th. Michael Sullivan, 16th. David Beatty will have to settle for 17th. And boy, poor Moro Azano, he was the first victim. He never really got a shot at it today.
But the driver who did get a shot and took it with both hands was Brett Rial. He's come to talk to us, the third place finisher. Brett, we're going to have to start calling you the Diamond because you withstood the pressure and you came out shining.
Boy, man, this track is just nuts. I mean, I thought Road America was a little crazy, but this is, it takes the cake for pressure.
And you held off a number of drivers. You had them starting to stack up there through the latter half of the race. Of course, it came down to 2 in that final lap. What were your thoughts as you started to come close to the Doddinger Hoe? Even though he wasn't able to follow you, Jack wasn't able to be on you for that last exit. Did you have a plan for trying to hold him off if he was close enough to get the draft there?
Well, I really suck at that last sector where right before the mini carousel. I can't remember the names of all these damn corners. There's too many of them. But I noticed in all the laps beforehand, coming out of that last corner, I was getting a way better drive than Jack. That was getting me about 3/10 by the time we were getting to the top of the hill. So I was just hoping, well, if I can a half a second at the top of the hill, I don't think he can catch me. And that's what I was doing. And I kind of cheated before this race. I kind of looked at previous races to see what people's paces were. And I was like, well, if I go 145s, that'll be good enough. But 645s. But obviously, it wasn't quite fast enough, and I really had to push it in those last 2 laps to see if I can get away from them. And I started to pull it, but thank God, after 30 minutes of this, it's just brain melt.
Yeah, I know the feeling, having run here myself in this car. So, are you going to do any more races this weekend here? Is this enough for you, or are you finished with it this week?
Oh, I'm going to try and do at least 2 more. Do the 2 more tomorrow morning. I mean, this is the one track that if I get wrecked out of, I don't really mind because, I just love to drive it. I'm not all that great on it. I still don't know how Michel does it. What is he doing? 634s with 25 gallons? That's just nuts. So, just driving on this track is just so much fun, even though it's mind melting. But I don't think there's any place that compares to it.
Yeah, so coming back for more, I guess, a glutton for punishment. Next week, we're going to be at Indianapolis, very different flavor track. But I don't believe I've actually driven that track with this series before. Is this going to be your first, the 49 and Indy combo?
Yeah, I've never done this track, I don't think, ever. So it'll be fun, but might be kind of fun. Would this be one where you can kind of like go with an asymmetric setup and do a little, crossweight?
It's on the road course, actually.
Oh, well.
I'm pretty sure. I need to check the schedule, but I thought I saw that it was on the road.
It's
road course, Joe.
Oh, never mind then.
You can try an asymmetric if you want. I don't know how that's going to fare, but
it goes up on the oval for a part of it, right?
It does, yes. You race the final corner, I believe, which be turn one backwards. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, this will be an interesting endeavor, won't it?
Certainly will, and that front stretch is quite long, so you'll at least get a good passing opportunity into turn one. But thanks for coming to talk to us, and congratulations on a third place.
Thanks, guys. Always a pleasure.
It's Brett Rial, who grabs a podium here today at the ring. Everybody else has had their minds too melted to come and talk to us, so that's the end of our interviews for today. Of course, we want to remind you that this is the Racing for Rick World Cup Challenge, and part of the reason for that is we are raising money for the ALS Foundation. If you could go down Association, excuse me, keep calling it that. If you could go down into the YouTube description, we have a link there for where you can donate to them, and we're encouraging donations all season long. Thanks to Jack Olstead and Ben Zoko, who helped bring this broadcast to air, and thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast, listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to Eric Eckholm and Casey Lalonde, who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Sean, Amjad, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, or you can check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, or Facebook at /Global Sim Racing Channel. The next race, as I mentioned earlier, that'll be Indianapolis, the road course this time. They've run the oval before in these cars, but this time they're trying it on the road. It'll be Saturday, August 12th at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series on screen, so check those out. Mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.